Excuse me, bartender. Dirty martini, Grey Goose vodka, extra olives. Shaken, not stirred. Alright, now that I got that in my system, let's begin the video. The good old days of playing GoldenEye 007. From the times of raging when my brothers would target me with a rocket launcher, to singling out one of my friends for playing Odd Job. A first-person shooter that was more multiplayer than it was story, despite it being an adaptation of arguably the best Bond film of all time. Ironic I'm saying this because I was never much of a fan of the franchise growing up. That was until I played Everything or Nothing, which could have competed with GoldenEye 007. Now, as much as I love playing GoldenEye 007, it was Perfect Dark that tickled my fanny every time. Not only was the multiplayer entertaining, if not more than GoldenEye, but the story never gets old, following a strong female spy in a Blade Runner style setting, and I'm definitely looking forward to the reboot announced in 2020. But enough about the games. There was one thing that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark had in common, besides them being produced by Rareware, and that they're both first-person shooters, and that both protagonists are British. And that, okay, let's not prolong the similarities. Their common ground is that their main protagonists are spies. And ever since playing these two games in particular, I became a kid that loved spies and assassins. And the moment I started watching anime and reading manga, I would always find a series centered around them, with the best examples being Go-Go 13, Darker Than Black, Eden of the East, and the pioneer of them all, Ghost in the Shell. Now, it was a hard time finding a good series after Ghost in the Shell. That was until last year I started reading this video's topic. So, good day to you all. The name's Morales. Killua Morales. And today, I'll be providing you all a proper analysis on what is considered the best anime of 2022, Spy Family. Now, this will be a review of the first core, just so that you are aware. Let's hop into it. So the story takes place in the fictional continent where two countries named Westalis and Ostania are waging a war of information against one another, where the latter is secretly preparing for an actual war against the former, while the former wishes to prevent this from happening at all. This leads to the government officials of Westalis putting in motion a plan they call Operation Strix, where they intend to keep an eye on the actions of a leading figure in Ostania's government. In comes our protagonist, a mysterious yet skilled agent known only as Twilight. Not that Twilight. In order for him to set their plans in motion, he has to do something that he's never done before. Start a family. With this, he takes on the identity of a psychiatrist named Lloyd Forger. I see what they did there. And later adopts a mysterious little girl named Anya. Afterwards gets married to a mysterious yet beautiful woman named Yor Breyer, thus beginning the wacky yet intense adventures of a makeshift family fighting for world peace. Okay, the story for this is one of the most entertaining I've seen and read in years. It feels old yet new due to its originality and inspiration it takes from other series, 007 and Mission Impossible especially. You follow a deadly spy learning to be a husband and father while trying to prevent a war from happening. Being that he knows little to nothing about living a normal life, let alone that of a father, there were a lot of comedic moments that will leave you in stitches. Despite it making you laugh at practically every moment in the anime, it doesn't forget the serious tone of the story, and you're reminded of it every time Lloyd feels like his plan is going to fail. When something backfires, you feel the weight of the scene as you want to cry over thinking that their plan will end in failure, leading to them being separated. But when there's success, you can't help but celebrate with the Forger family. Speaking of which, even though they're pretending to be a family, there are times where they felt like a real family, as you can see the love and compassion they show towards each other. Despite the fact that it's just a fraud, they treat it very seriously. Since we're talking about the Forger family, Agent Twilight himself brings out the premise of the series as he reminds the viewers without breaking the fourth wall what his goal is. Even though you can understand every single thought out plan he makes, there are times where you just want to sit him down, brew some tea, and shoot him the question,
why so serious?
Seriously. I get that he's focused on the goal ahead, but he really needs to settle down and just relax. It's not really a nitpick since that's what makes his character stand out, as he shows compassion towards the innocent, knowing that his actions will make their lives better. It's no wonder he prefers his coffee black. We don't get much detail about his backstory, but we can kind of guess that he's had a pretty tough upbringing, to put it lightly. And judging from the brief scenes of him as a child, it's safe to assume that war played a huge role of turning him into an orphan. In the end, despite the fact that most of the time he has a stick shoved up his ass, you can't help but root for him to not only complete his mission, but also, and most importantly, be a good father. Better than these two pricks, of course. Then there's Anya, who brings out the life of the series. Now, to tell you the truth, I was never much of a fan of the lolly character archetype. with the exception of Kusuno from Sekirei, Yoshino from Date A Live, and Philo from The Rising of the Shield Hero. But Anya is just too adorable. Just from her quick backstory, you can tell that she suffers from separation anxiety as she's been from one foster family to another. Not only is she the life of the series, as she's usually the sole focus of most of the comedy in the anime, but she also serves as the audience, since most of her reactions are what the viewers are feeling at the moment. I mean, think about it. If you were in her shoes, would you do this? Of course, I can't talk about the Forger family without bringing up the fan service and second premise of the series, the Thorn Princess herself, Yor Briar. The Commodores would have said she's a brick house, but as the story progresses, the Gap band would say she dropped the bomb on you. She may come off as a naive airhead at times, but you do not want to piss her off for any reason, because if you do, she'll be all over you like white on rice on a paper plate with a glass of milk in a blizzard in the middle of January. Yet somehow, she is without a doubt the best character in the series. She has the strongest character development as you see her balance out her two lives as a civil servant and an assassin at the same time, learn how to not only be more ladylike, but also how to be a mother. She's one woman that never fails to entertain, which is a shame since we don't see her do much of her assassin life. We get a brief summary of her backstory, but it doesn't go into further detail about her assassinations. I guess that's the alluring part, as you're always guessing what she's done, as she's always covered in blood. All in all, even though you don't know further details about her assassin job, doesn't mean she isn't dangerous. She is a true femme fatale, and because of it, I ended up with a poster of her on my waifu wall. Of course, there are side characters that help make the anime entertaining, like Housemaster Henderson, who has an unhealthy obsession with elegance that it's a meme in itself, Yor's little brother Yuri, who has an unhealthy obsession for his sister that it borderlines incestuous, Lloyd's info broker Frankie, who's gonna remain single for the rest of his life, Lloyd's trainer Sylvia, who like Lloyd has a stick shoved up her ass, Yor's smug, arrogant, and annoying coworkers, Damien Desmond, who likes to bully Anya until, well, you know what happened. The list goes on. Overall, the story was very entertaining and well paced with gut-wrenching comedy and lovable characters, with the exception of one. This anime had some of the best art and animation of this year. Now, when I first saw the trailer, I thought a studio like Madhouse or Production IG was working on it. Well, fortunately, and possibly unfortunately, I was wrong, as this was co-produced by two studios, Cloverworks, whom you all remember from when I reviewed My Dress Up Darling, click here to check out that video, and Studio Wit, known for their works including Seraph of the Inn, Cabanera the Iron Fortress, and unfortunately, the first two seasons of Attack on Titan. Now, being a reviewer, I had to put my pride aside and give Studio Wit a chance. And boy, I'm glad I did, because they worked very well with Cloverworks. They definitely did the manga justice, staying faithful to the original art style, from the background to Anya's smile. The character designs were the best part of the art. Every single character, and I mean every character, including the crowds, had a different design that made them stand out on their own. Lloyd's design really fits his personality, someone that's always serious, and may or may not tend to overwork himself to the brink of bloodshed. Anya's design is pretty much about what you'd expect from a little girl like her, though I gotta admit, her hair ornaments make her look more adorable than she already was. At the same time though, it makes her look inhumane, which was probably done on purpose, as she does have the ability to read minds, so I can understand if it was meant to be metaphorical. Then there's Yor's character design. Okay, I don't want to sound like a simp, but
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything. Daddy, you better get the best for me. Hey, Daddy.
yeah, that sums up my thoughts. I would go into further detail, but I don't want to embarrass myself. But on a serious note, just like Lloyd, her design fits her personality. Naive, yet intimidating, and also misleading because despite the fact that she looks petite, this lady can pack a punch. So as I stated before, do not, for any reason, piss her off. The animation was so fluent and smooth that the anime felt real, so you can tell that they paid extra attention to every small detail. Every scene stands out, from the simplest scenes of them just conversing to the intense action scenes like the stampede and the dodgeball scene. Of course, this is a modern anime, so expect there to be CGI. There wasn't a lot of it, but thankfully it's a lot better than most CGI in other anime. Then there's the sound department. Wow, when I say that the sound department delivered, That is a huge understatement. Everything sounds beautiful, like listening to an orchestra where every different instrument harmonizes with each other. The best example of this is the aforementioned Anya punch scene. That punch alone sounded so graphic, like a gun going off, and the sound effect of that brat flying away like it did sounded like something straight out of Looney Tunes, making the scene not only hilarious but also very satisfying. Of course, when talking about the sound department, I have to talk about the soundtrack. You can tell that they took inspiration from many spy films, especially the 007 franchise. The main theme alone that plays throughout the series, especially during the ending sequences of each episode. If you pay close attention, you'll hear that it clearly takes inspiration from 007's original theme song. The opening and ending themes are earworms. The opening theme, Mixed Nuts, is fast, upbeat, and noir with its jazzy feel, but the ending theme, Kigeki by Gen Hoshino, has it beat by a landslide. The soft tone, beat, and the lyrics gives off the feeling of a child walking home with his or her parents after being released from school. Now, I've always been a fan of Gen Hoshino. Just check out his song Create, which was a celebration of Super Mario's 35th anniversary. But this song made me love him even more than I already did. And how can you not love the characters if not for the voice acting? Every single voice actor, Japanese and English dub, from the main cast to the supporting cast, delivered Emmy-worthy performances. Takuya Eguchi's voicing of Agent Twilight was my favorite performance of this year so far. Playing a cynical realist like Lloyd is second nature to him since he's done it before, but he made him all the more likable and entertaining. Of course, the standout performance was Saori Hayami's voicing of Yor. I'll never understand how every character she voices sounds sexy, with the exception of Rachel from Tower of God. But not only did she do that, she also delivered Yor's naivety and seriousness as well. I can't help but fall in love with Yor's character even more than ever. Now, we can't talk about voice acting without bringing up Atsumi Tanizaki's voicing of Anya. I've always thought that Anya was adorable from reading the manga, but Atsumi definitely delivered here because everything that comes from her mouth makes me want to go. Now, we can't sleep on the side characters like Kazuhiro Yamaji voicing Henderson, which was as elegant as his character's obsession, and most definitely Kensho Ono voicing the yandere Siscon Yuri. The Japanese dub had an A-list voice cast, and every single one of them delivered on their respective character. The English dub also had A-listers like Alex Organ voicing Lloyd, Stephanie Young voicing Sylvia, and Morgan Garrett voicing the Two-Faced Camilla. But the standouts were Natalie Van Sistine voicing Yor and Megan Shipman voicing Anya. Now, even though Natalie may have been in the voice acting world since 2004, she hasn't really had any noteworthy roles, but she's shown that you don't need experience to kick ass. Megan, on the other hand, knew what she was doing, as she's shown over her career that she can voice anybody. Pair them together with Alex Morgan, and this is a family to be reckoned with. All in all, the art and animation were amazing, with how the background and character designs never fail to keep you hooked with how smooth and fluent the animation is, and the art style giving off that noir feeling. And the sound department as well enhanced that feeling, letting you know that this is a spy series through and through. So, what more can I say about this anime that hasn't already been said? Spy Family is a must-watch for everybody, regardless if you're a fan of anything spy-related like 007, Mission Impossible, or even the Bourne franchise. Even though it's a spy series at its core, it adds elements of slice of life and comedy, showing that it doesn't need to be serious all the time. And the characters made sure that you're never bored from watching. I always expect good things from Cloverworks, but I'm glad I put my pride aside for Studio Wit, because these studios worked very well together, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the second core. So with that in mind, I can proudly say that the first core of Spy Family is godly. This is without a doubt a nominee for Anime of the Year, and I wonder what the fall season will have that can compete with this. I'm looking at you, Chainsaw Man. Well, that's it for this review. Do you agree with my rating? What were your thoughts on Spy Family? Comment below to give me your thoughts. Also, big shout out to Twitter artist Sakimi-chan for allowing me to advertise her work. If you like the poster of Yor, then check out her Twitter page in the description below, as she sells her work in not only poster form but in shirts as well. Also, another shout out to Reddit artist Cyberwolf for the artwork of my avatar. He is a beast, and I recommend checking out his artwork as well. There will be links to his Reddit and Instagram in the description as well. Now, enough of the shout outs. Here's a reminder that this month I will have a top 10 list dedicated to one of the most iconic anime studios in Japan. Who that studio is? Not telling. You'll have to figure out on your own. So for now, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, just like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to tap the bell icon so you're never missing out on a future video. But until then, Normally, I'd say thanks for watching, I'm leaving and Godspeed, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Why? Well, it's simple. Because now that you've seen this video, you have to die.